Right, welcome everybody. Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good middle of the night to our friends in Australia who are joining us. Welcome. I've been eagerly anticipating our webinar for today, our conversation for today, because I get to be with a couple of my favorite people. Our program director and one of our lead trainers, Chanda Williams, who has been working with, well, I'll let her do a little bit of an introduction perhaps at some point. And then somebody who I just recently met, a Prison Yoga Project alumni who's practiced with James and Chanda at San Quentin, Mr. Kimini Randall. And I woke up this morning, and as I was thinking about what we were going to be doing today, I was very inspired, because I think that in the conversation that I got to have with Kimini when we were recording for the video for our end of the year fundraising campaign, I really saw everything, the full potential of what Prison Yoga Project I think has to offer in the world, embodied in him and in the story that he told us about his life and his experience getting involved with PYP. And it just seemed natural that we wanted to create an opportunity to sort of share that in a bigger way, so that it's not just 5 minutes, but that we can really get into some depth around that. And we're going to let Chanda Williams take over now. And so thank you so much to the two of you. I'm going to go ahead and hide my video now, and we'll see you again in Q&A section towards the end.
Thank you, Bill. So first of all, welcome to everyone who's joining us on the webinar today. Very excited to be here. Super excited to see Kimini, because it's been a couple of years, maybe longer, since I've seen you. And, I think first off, I just want to kind of touch on what Bill was just mentioning, which is the video. Most people who are probably joining us today, they got to see that fundraising video that Bill put together of you and myself and James kind of talking about our experience together. But they didn't get the privilege of seeing the full video, right? So I got to see your full 40-minute video. So I would really love to talk about that. And I would really love to connect with you and see how you're doing, and to also express to you just how deeply touched I was by what you shared. And so this is just me offering my deepest gratitude to you for showing up, for being present, for being consistent, for being authentic, for being real. And so I just wanted to just say that to kick it off.
You're welcome. Thank you as well. I mean, I can only do this type of work because I was exposed to it, with everything you had to offer, me and other men like me in that proximity, which wasn't an easy proximity that we was living in, and that you was teaching in, especially up under them conditions that we was facing. And I was really facing some real things. And I mean, I don't want to get too deep, but y'all know me, right? I just want to go there and shoot it from the hip. So I always thought about the day that I was going to that board and I saw you coming in, and you was like, where you going? I was like, going to the board. Hopefully today is my day, but that day wasn't my day. And I think in my heart, I felt like I impacted you somehow that day. It wasn't from a disappointment standpoint. It was more like, I think she was rooting for me. And when they denied me, the old me would have, hid in my shame, but I continued to come to the group and face, whatever was going on within me, whether you was impacted or not. I just felt that, and I always said, if I ever get an opportunity to see you out here, I wanted to just say, What happened?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
Okay.
I guess I gotta touch it every now and then to make sure it keeps the light up. So I just wanted to say, you know, if I told myself, you know, when I was in the hole, I said, you know, if I ever had an opportunity, I just wanted to say, if you was impacted by my denial that day, I really want to apologize to you for that. That was never my intentions. But you know, things happen. But that was weighing on my heart real heavy. So when I got out, it was one of my things. I just needed to just say, hey, I felt you somehow, and I you know, wanted to apologize for that day. But hey, you know, my past behavior had a way of catching up with me. It's over now, though.
Yeah, it's over
Yeah.
now. And you know, I do remember that day. I remember that moment, you know, knowing that you were going to go before the parole board and, you know, talking to you and understanding what you were doing to prepare, to get ready, and the amount of hope that you had, right? That, you know, this was going to be the time that you were going to get a date and you would be released and reunited with your family. And I remember the next time I saw you and you found out that you had been denied. And it did impact me, but not in a way that you need to apologize for. I don't want you to feel that I was feeling anything other than my disappointment in the system. I didn't feel disappointment in you because I knew just by my interactions with you, the person that you were at that moment in time was very different from the person that the parole board was rejecting. So my sense of sadness and disappointment was more at the system and how I felt in that moment. It was being really unfair to you. And what I want to comment on is you were so clear in how you felt, like you really named your emotions, that you were feeling angry, you were feeling hurt, you had dealing with the family aspect of their disappointment and their hurt, and then what happened subsequent to that. But you carried it with such grace. Like, you know, I can imagine that had to be a really low point for you, and just feeling that. And so I want to acknowledge that, yes, I was impacted, but in a way that made me even more committed to this work and supporting you and supporting guys like you. So that's how I felt.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, yeah, I mean, at that time, I wasn't mad at the system. I was more mad at myself of not making better choices throughout my incarceration. Whether I knew better or not, I always had choices. And that particular day, that was the day I was able to put into play for future hearings to come about. You know, I had to go in there and I just had to be transparent and put everything on the line to get my credibility back, because at that time the board didn't recognize nothing good that I was doing, due to the simple fact I was refusing to be transparent about my past behaviors. So it was my fault, and I think that's where I know that's where the sadness came about, of how I'm victimizing so many people with me not being transparent, you know. But that particular day, I made another promise to myself that I'm always gonna just shoot it from the hip, you know, and it served me well. I mean, although after then I went to the hole and, you know, I was transferred, I continued to do the work though. I continued to not give up on myself, because giving up on myself would have been giving up on so many other people who was, I don't want to say rooting for me, but was in my corner, was supportive of me, you know. So that was an opportunity for me to put my practice in the application when I went to the hole, you know. The individuals that put me in the hole, although I didn't do what they said I did, I dedicated my yoga practices to them, you know, because I understood that they was dealing with stuff, you know. So I didn't take it personal. I put the handcuffs on my on my wrists and shackles on my ankles, and went through many bus rides, and I continued to do the work wherever I went. And that particular day set me up for this moment here now. I'm free. I'm thankful. You know, I'm happy. My family is good. You know, and it was a blessing. You know, so and it was only by, you know, just being true to myself at that time. You know, it was very important that I, you know, step up, you know, at that time, and you know, let it be what it was. And fortunately it worked. You know, I'm out now. So it was good, you know, but I always carry that in my heart, not just you, but, you know, other people, you know. And you just one of the many that I've been, you know, just apologizing to, you know, and just, you know, just want to let you know that I recognize when I hurt people, you know, and whether they is aware of it or not, you know, that's hurt, you know. So I just wanted to bring that to the forefront, you know, before God cast me out. For
No,
sure.
I don't. Yeah, you got a lot more work to do. So I don't think you're going to be going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know.
yeah,
It's his
but
will.
yeah,
Whatever his will is, I submit to it wholeheartedly, you know.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So
You know what you said there. There's so much there that I want to kind of unpack a little bit.
okay.
You know, we're talking in context of the Prison Yoga Project and talking about, you know, these times, these experiences that you had where it's like you're putting your practice into practice, like you are actually applying the practice to yourself. And so to me, I was really impressed by the fact that you came back to yoga. Like, you know, even in the midst of everything that was happening, you were really consistent. And I don't think you ever missed a class. That's kind of like my takeaway, my memory is that you were very present and very dedicated. And so I'm curious to know, like, what fueled that commitment, what fueled that dedication, because clearly you were getting a lot out of it. You said the change begun in that yoga room. So I want to just kind of hear from you, like, what was that change? What were you experiencing?
So um for me, when you saying when I started putting it into practice, like far as when I went to the hole and all going through all the trauma that I was going through, the suicide of my daughter, all this type of stuff. The motivation for me was, believe it or not, just seeing how dedicated you, James, and the other brothers and sisters that came in week after week. That was my motivation to not give up, right? Because it was it was people, human beings, right? Constantly. I know being in the world now, I'm quite sure y'all was going through some stuff because I see this world for what it is, you know,
Yeah.
but y'all was able to put them things to the side for the moment and come in there and be present with me, you know. And I had to say, and I'll say me, you know, though it was everybody else, I was looking at like, this is for me, this is helping me, right? So just seeing that year after year, especially with James, you know, LeBron, Kavron, you know, and some more brothers and sisters, just seeing how y'all was dedicated like that, that gave me the hope and motivation to stay firm on my square. You know, I boxed for many years, and one of the things that they teach us to is to stay in our square, you know, stay on our X, you know, don't be moved, right? So I took that mentality, you know, and I refused to be moved by a denial at the board, by the death of my daughter, by, you know, being accused of accusations that I would never do. I was able to put that to the side and say, okay, let me use this as an opportunity to learn from, to learn wisdom from, and to correlate my practice into all that, right? It was motivation. Um, so you all was my motivation. Um, And then when I got out of there, I didn't have nobody when I was in prison. Y'all all I had. I looked at y'all as family, like I still do. So when I went to the hole, you know, and for me in prison, I never asked a person for nothing, which is why a lot of my troubles came from being prideful and not trusting other people to assist me, due to the simple fact every time I asked as a kid, I was told no, right? So for many years, I grew up like, I'm not going to ask nobody for nothing. I'm going to get it how I got to get it by any means necessary. This was my distorted thinking. However, throughout the practice, I learned that it was all right to ask for help, right? It was all right to communicate what I was going through, right? And every time that y'all came in, I didn't have much time, but the few minutes that I did had, I calculated on them by being transparent and letting y'all know what I was dealing with, right? So you can, you know, assist me in any type of way that you could assist me. And so in the midst of all that, I just, you know, looked at y'all behavior, looked at y'all consistency in my life as a means to stand firm on my square and not be moved by nothing or no one, right? And so, yeah, y'all was my motivation, you know. And when I went to that hole, I didn't have nobody. And hey, James Fox reached out to me, let me know this is what family is about. No matter what you're going through, I'm right here for you. The Prison Yoga Project is right here for you, right? And hey, I dialed in on that. You know, I put it in my heart. This is truly my brother. This is truly a great teacher of mine. This is truly a friend. This is truly someone who inspired me, who I know, right? Who loved me, right? Because he been consistent. That was the only consistency I ever had in my life, was y'all coming in. I never had consistency in my life, right? You know, growing up, I was in one foster home, one group home, one placement, one juvenile hall, right? And as I got older, I was in this prison, that prison, this prison, that prison, right? So he showed me consistency. You showed me consistency, right? And hey, I'm loyal to that, you know, and I had to do the same thing in the midst of all my battles, you know. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know, what you're talking about, it's interesting because I feel that about you. So there's like this beautiful reciprocity, right? It's like you are showing up, so I'm going to show up. And you felt that we were showing up, so you were showing up. And so it's like within that, you know, there's like this kind of alchemical kind of exchange where it's like, I know for myself, you know, sometimes like you're talking about like how hard it is, right, on the outside. Yes, there's all kinds of experiences, challenges, problems, interpersonal stuff, just the things that are happening in life. However, when I would get to San Quentin, I would let that all go because I needed to be present. I needed to show up for you. And so for me to come into that space, I was always moved by the fact that you guys were showing up for me. It's like, I'm sure there's something else you could be doing on a Tuesday, you know, at 1:30, but you were so committed to your practice. And so that inspired me to show up and to show up for myself because I was getting so much out of that. And I always, even, you know, to this day, after all these years of doing this work, I always feel better when I leave San Quentin by virtue of that time that I spend with the guys.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I remember the first time you came in there, right? I was like, this is not right, right? I was like, this is not right. And I'm looking at James like, oh, you can't be doing this to me right now. At any rate, I don't know. I thought we had, if I can recall, I remember we had some time. It wasn't a verbal change. It was more like I looked at you, I said, she must think I'm a real a-hole, right? Because I have this exterior. I said, okay, she must think I'm a real a-hole. Because I was trying to do some paperwork or something, and you was talking to somebody else, and I was trying to say, okay, well, I'm the person that got to put all this stuff together. And I think that moment right there, I was like, okay, this finna be an issue up in here. I don't know how I'm gonna deal with this, right? But I was able to tap in, and it was something said, you know, this is time. This is time that you address some things that you haven't addressed, Kimani, right? Didn't want to do it. Been at that present time, I had that so suppressed. I'm like, I'm not gonna even deal with all that, you know. But as I started dealing with it, I started recognizing that this trauma that was in me, that I was constantly suppressing from the 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 depthness of my resentment I had towards my mother, my aunties, all the black women in my life, was also causing me to have resentment towards my own daughters. I never knew this. You know, why it wasn't a problem for me to hear from them once a year, you know. And then with everything that came with being a father incarcerated with a life sentence, and having daughters on the outside trying to live their life and picking and choosing individuals that somebody told them this is how your father is, right? Them choosing, that was very, 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 very hard on me at that time. But with you coming in there, you showed me that not only is women's is not out to hurt me or steal my autonomy or put me in compromising situations to where I have to defend myself, and you know, all these things that, you know, I was going through, right? You showed me that, you know, not every woman is the same, right? But then you showed me that all people the same through the trauma that we go through, right? You shared a little bit about your sleeping situation, how it was hard for you to sleep sometimes and stuff like that, you know. So just remembering that and hearing that, you know, and coming in there during the times that I really didn't want to come in there, right? But when I came in there, you made it so, you know, comfortable with doing the practice. And I started learning from you, right? Because you wasn't telling us to get into a pose. You was putting us in a pose and saying, okay, you was connecting poses together. You had a way of doing yoga like nobody ever was doing it. And that's where I started learning what yoga was. That's how I started learning how to do my own practices, you know, was through you, right? So taking that and saying, okay, she have taught me how to connect this yoga thing. And my whole objective with yoga was to see how could it connect with my life, right? So taking that practice, and I was gonna need it. I never knew I was gonna need it. You probably didn't know I was gonna need it. But when I went to that hole, that was the point of no return for me. That was the question mark. Do you clock in, or do you stand firm and get out of here? Right? Now, I knew a lot of people that clocked in that'll never get out, decided to give up on everything that they accomplished. So I was faced with that. But it was remembering how you taught me yoga. So I was start doing my yoga practices, right? I started putting them together, right? And then I remember what James said, you know, when I first started the yoga, you know, dedicate a yoga practice to someone, you know, that's causing you pain, right? So I did that, right? And once I was able to do that and continue my practice back there, I started having more meaningful relationship with CEOs back there, especially the women's, right? They start, you know, you need anything, you know, giving me extra lunches and stuff like that. But that came by way of me just being receptive to the fact that I'm practicing this yoga and I'm correlating it to my life and I'm letting it exude out into the world in my environment, you know, and it helped me out, right? It helped me out back there, right? Because it was a lot. it was a lot I was going through back there, right?
Yeah.
So I thank you for that, because up until that point in time before you came, I was just doing yoga like everybody else. It wasn't about, it was just more of okay, yeah, I was learning the meditation, the breathing, I started getting comfortable with the, the flexibility, but I didn't actually know how to do my own yoga practice. I remember James telling me, yeah, just start writing it down, but I never had time to do that, you know. But with you, it was a way that you taught it, and it was a way that I picked it up and I utilized it when I went back there, and I utilized it when I went to the next prison. I started the yoga program there with a few inmates, and it was a violent prison that I was transferred to, very violent, but I stood firm on, hey, man, I'm nonviolent, man. Come on, y'all, we ain't got to do this, right? And I practice yoga every day, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. Lost a lot of weight too doing that, right? But hey, it was good, and I thank you for that. I mean, so I just want to say, I mean, your teaching is one thing, your presence is one thing in them rooms, but it's the support, the love you bring in that room as a woman, especially a Black woman, that captured my heart to say, hey, you gotta stand firm on this, man, because you're not the only person that go through stuff, but stand firm and continue to, exude out that positive energy, that force in the world, So that came from you, and it helped me now that I'm out. I see women's totally different, especially Black women's, right? I work with a population of women's that been through some stuff, right? Been through a lot of stuff, which caused them to end up homeless and on drugs and stuff like that. But I greet them with the utmost love, right? I feel it's my duty, if I see an individual trying to hurt them, to try to help them, and that come from just being in that room with you, and being in the room with other sisters too, Josephine and all them. I remember all them, but it was you, because I was dealing with this Black woman thing all my life because of my mama, my aunties, all the things that happened to me, right? But it made me a better man. It made me a better Black man as well, and I love it, and I'm able to I have real meaningful relationships out here now. I got women who's not my biological sisters love me as a brother, just out of the respect that I give them, the concern that I show, the time that I stop and, hey, how you doing today? Anything I can do, right? To help you get throughout the day, and that comes from you, and I'm grateful because the relationships is so meaningful, right? Um, I mean, these sisters that's, on drugs, that been through a lot of stuff, and when we talk, I'm like, okay, um, these some of the things now, right? At the age of 42, I'm starting to ask questions. I'm starting to ask my mama questions. I'm starting to ask my auntie questions. What happened to y'all? What happened? Right? And now the story is all making sense, how intergenerational trauma played a part in everything I went through. Right? And at first, I didn't feel a need or a sense to even ask my mama and my aunties them that. I'd felt like for many years, that ain't my place to be asking them questions about stuff like that. However, now I done ask them some questions and things is coming out and it all making sense. It's making sense, and it hurts me, but that hurt I'm utilizing as motivation to be able to recognize, when I see uh, a woman, especially a Black woman, going through the type of pain that they going through, right? I never knew my mama missed me when I was in prison. I never knew that, my going to prison impacted her more and caused her to go deeper and deeper into her drug addiction. I thought she never loved me, right? But she said, I loved you. I just didn't know how to love. I didn't know how to show you love because I was never showed love, So I thank you for that, right? Because you opened up the gateway to that, and you gave me the courage to go into that door and ask them questions, them hard questions. What happened, right? Because I've been tired. I was just tired of hurting. I'm tired of being resentful towards y'all. And then I miss you as well. Like I told my mom, I miss you. You know, I miss you all these years. Now I'm 42. Now I have an opportunity to actually be with you. Before I didn't have an opportunity. I was always in somebody's system, right? But now I'm a man, and I thank you. You know, I told my mama, I thank you for everything that you did to me, for me. You know, I thank you for that, because it built the man that I am today, right? It built me, right? If I would have never went through that, I probably wouldn't be the person that I am now. So I thank you for that, you know. And she told me the hard questions. It's sad. Her story is sad, but I hear that same story from multiple Black women's that I work with, right? I see the manias they give out, you know, when they don't have the drugs. I see I see, but that's that trauma, you know. And now I forgive my mama. You know, I thought I forgave her, but now I forgive her because I understand what happened to her, you know. And you made it possible for me to say, hey, you know, you can ask, you can ask your mama, you can ask that Black woman that, you know. And although, because I mean, growing up in the Black community, we taught that we don't talk about certain things in our family. We just don't do that. That don't talk about, shut up, mind your business, all that. You know, however, I'm a man now, and I was just surprised that my aunties and mamas was willing to share their story with me, right? Broke my heart, broke my heart, right? And I have an auntie still caught up in it, you know, still caught up in the trauma, because the trauma keep you in it. It keep you trying to escape. So you do drugs, you do this, you scream, you act out, all these things that she's still doing, that I remember her doing when I was a kid. She's still doing it, you know, because of some things she don't know how to, you know, say it happened to me. She don't want to talk about it, you know, because she was beat to say don't talk about it, you know. So I thank you for that, for being able to go inside of that, you know, that room and ask some hard questions. And life is so much beautiful. My grandkids, I look at my granddaughters, you know, and I'm like, it's my duty to make sure y'all don't have to experience that type of culture, because it is a culture. It's a norm. It's a ghetto culture norm of don't speak about what happens in this house, you know. So I always tell my granddaughters, y'all speak about what y'all want to speak about. Y'all tell the world what goes on up in here, you know, and be proud, you know. So I thank you for that, Chanda.
Oh,
I know that was a lot.
it was a lot. It was beautiful, and it was deep. And yeah, that's what I've always loved about you, is how real you are. Like you just name everything. So I want to go back to what you said at like the very beginning, which was like the first time I came inside, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And you perceiving that perhaps I felt a certain way about you.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't. So I want to clear the air that
Okay.
if, you know, I want to apologize if I was giving a vibe that was less than respect, less than, you know, being authentic and really, you know, showing up for the practice to do the work. If I was giving off anything that did not feel like that was it, like that was 100% what I was giving, I want to apologize. And I think what you're speaking to, you know, everything that you said is the complexity of the Black experience, of Black people in the United States and Black people throughout the diaspora, right? Because of this legacy of slavery and segregation, Black people have been traumatized, and we don't talk about the trauma.
Yes.
And then within relationships, between Black men and Black women, there is this wall, I feel, that exists between us because of all this trauma, this intergenerational trauma of, you know, witnessing what our mamas went through, witnessing what our dads went through, if your dad was even there, because I didn't grow up with my dad, right? And so I think for so many of us in the African American community, we don't talk about what we're feeling, primarily because we're told not to talk about it. But then I also think it's a survival mechanism, right? To kind of like to pack away the pain, because if you let yourself feel the pain, it's going to be overwhelming. And so what I hear you saying is like showing up for that practice, it let you tap into the pain and the trauma. And I consider it my deepest honor that I was able to kind of sit in proxy for your mother, right? And, you know, I wasn't aware of any of this was happening and transpiring inside of yourself. But I think, you know, when we talk about wanting to change the culture, to change the norm, that's what it comes to. Like, we have to be able to talk and be real and not to feel threatened or intimidated by, right? Like I feel like definitely within the Black community, there can be almost like this sense of resentment and hatred towards the other, right? So Black men towards women and Black women towards Black men. And until we can actually like have a conversation, I'm so glad we're having this conversation, right? Because I wasn't aware of any of this. I mean, I think what you're talking about is like, it's a healing on a much deeper level. And I think it speaks to like the power of doing this work when you let yourself actually ask the hard questions and to sit with what you're feeling. And, you know, and I'm curious about that because you talked, you know, in that video about like your mom and her addiction and the verbal abuse and the physical abuse, you know, that those were your early years, right? And then to go into foster home and foster, you know, another group home until you actually ended up incarcerated. So it's like this life trajectory, right? Where you're not learning life skills, but you're just trying to survive.
Yeah.
And so now, I mean, to hear you talk about the relationship that you have with your mom, it's really beautiful. I'm sure it's not perfect because who has a perfect relationship with their mom?
Not at all. Not at all. But what she say now to me, I don't even pay her no attention now. I'm not, no. Oh, yeah, you say whatever. Give me a kiss. I'm gone. I'm out of here. I see you when I can. Right. It's just, I keep it very simple. So for me, I just want to just bag up and then move forward. So there's no need for you to apologize for what I perceived. See, that's the trauma keep us perceiving things that really is not even there. And for all my life, I've been perceiving things that wasn't always there. And that thing that I perceive is what it was survival, but it hindered me of being all that I can be, right? And what I mean by that, you know, I done been exposed, like going to foster homes and group homes. I was exposed to like the opposite side of the ghetto life as well, because it's two sides to a coin. You know, it's two sides. It's always this side and it's always that side. So, and I done pushed a lot of good sisters that, because I throughout my life, I done met good sisters that is in that field, probation officers, social workers, whose heart is in it to help these little Black boys and girls. But for me, the trauma was so embedded in me, I just knew to protect myself. So I purposely pushed people away from me by perceiving things that wasn't there, right? But with you, I wasn't able to do that because it was a point in my life where I actually was receptive to actually changing. So I knew I had to, like Jock always say, sit in the fire. Right. So I had to sit in the fire, and it dissipated. just like James used to say, okay, yeah, I know this dragon pose. I know it's it's kind of uncomfortable, but breathe through it. Breathe through it. It come and it go, right? So I took that and I said, okay, well, breathe through it. Breathe through it, right? And it's dissipated as I start seeing you as consistent. Because up until that point in time, it was like, well, these women's, they come and then they go, right? They come in here, they say this good stuff, and then I don't see them to a special banquet up in here, you know, and I don't want no parts to do with that because that's causing me to feel a certain type of way. So it was no need for you to apologize. It was just my perception because I was still dealing with that trauma. I'm still dealing with that trauma. However, I got the tools to be able to say, hey, I'm feeling a little bit like this because of this, you know, so could we, you know, meet each other needs? And, you know, I make requests, you know, but I understand my boundaries, and I also have boundaries, healthy boundaries. You know, before I just had boundaries, that healthy, unhealthy, I ain't even care. I just don't want you close to me, you know, and that's how I was, you know. So that was just something I perceived, but that's just show you how traumatic in that room. And I'm just one of many that came, that's consistent, that was consistent coming in there.
Right.
You know, I'm just one, right? But it's a whole lot of us was going through some things at that time. You know, we talked about it in other groups, but for me, it was personal. It was like, okay, I'm dealing with this, right? I got to get over the fact that I got resentment towards my mother, my daughters, my aunties, every other black woman, every woman, because of what my mama did to me. At some point in time, I got to say enough is enough, right? I just didn't know how to do it because I didn't have that that figure in my life to say, hey, it's all right to look and say, you know, not all of us is bad. Remember that. So I had to get back to that point in time where I remember the good sisters that came into my life that I pushed away, and I didn't want to do that with you. So I was like, okay, well, keep going in there, keep going in there, keep going in there, keep seeking, keep finding out who she is, what she about, right? And when you said engineer, I was like, engineer? Remember, I was like, engineer, what you fix planes? I was trying to figure it all out. What type of engineer? You like math, right? So, you know, and I just got to seeking little bits and pieces, and then you're consistent coming in there. You was just coming in there. You was just coming in there. You know, no intentions. It was just, I'm in here to help y'all, but I'm consistent in y'all life. And that was so important for my change. You know, that was so important for the scales to be lifted off my eyes, like the Bible say, right? And see, right? I see now, and I'm glad. I'm so thankful for that, for that moment. I'm thankful for it because God knew it was, I was gonna need it out here, you know. And I see a lot of women uh, since I've been out. Um, they got to be tough now, right? Because the individuals, the males who dealing with the same trauma that I'm dealing with, that never did no work on it, done did things to them. So it's cause for our women's, and it hurt me because I see the younger women's really have to be tough. They have to be tough out here, you know. And for me, when I see women's like that, for me, I have to let them know, like, hey, not all men's is bad. I'm one of the, you know, appropriate ones. You know, I don't come with no agendas, no intentions. I just come to say how you doing, and if I can be of assistance to you, let me know, right? So I thank you for that, right? And it's working. I gotta work it every day, and I got good relationships, you know, now. And like I said with my mama, you know, we laugh. You know, my aunties, we laugh, and you know, they getting older, and um, you know, and now it's my time to, you know, just step up and be a good man, you know, and be the best grandfather I can, because my daughters, they still on their stuff. I gotta respect their autonomy. You know, they really don't want nothing to do with me like that. You know, we in, you know, you got some money from, yeah, you know, and I give them the money. The grandkids, you can, you know, but far as us, we gonna need some time, you know, and I understand that. And it hurt me because they dealing with individuals who I used to be like. This is why these men is breaking their ribs and got them doing all type of other stuff, you know. And I tell them, like, you ain't gotta do that, right? I'm not like that. I'm not into that. I was never into that type of stuff, you know. But you ain't gotta do that. But this is what they know. It's what they know. These men are that they've been with, been like their father figure as well. You know, so put that component with the other components of companionship. I mean, a father who been gone for 23 years, you ain't got action at that. That's going to take a whole lot of work. But I'm receptive to it, right? And as long as I continue to be the best me out here, I think eventually they will say, okay, well, Dad, you know, this is the type of man I want, you know, someone like you know, who trying to get himself together, who living his change, right? Who's respecting himself, who's respecting the women's around him, who's respecting his woman. You know, I want someone like that now. It, you know, hey, it may be a minute, but eventually, if I can change, I believe they can change too. I believe it's possible for anyone, right? Because for me, I used to go around. My core belief was, man, I ain't gonna never change. This is what I know. This is me, you know. So it's a process. It's a process. But to get in the crab pose, take courage. It take courage. This whole thing take courage, right? To trust myself enough to lift my body upside down and bend my legs, you know, and be there. It take courage, you know, because don't no human being want to leave their feet. The first thing you do when you leave your feet, you panic, right? That's just, it goes in the brain. Whoa, what's going on? Everybody wanted to feel their feet on that canvas. So for me to actually intentionally cause my body to go upside down, that take courage. So it take courage for me to sustain my change out here in society and be the best man that I can be, you know, and be an inspiration to my grandsons, you know, to other little boys, black boys around. It's all right to be kind, to be gentle, to be meek. You know, being meek is not being weak. It took me a long time to figure that out, you know. So, but it take a lot of humbleness, you know, to celebrate things that people will say, well, I tolerate, but you celebrate what other people's tolerate. So that take courage, you know. So, and that came to having that courage, that place where that courage come from. Hey, it's all about getting into them poses that I didn't want to get into, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Well, I'm so glad because you were very courageous in all the
yeah,
classes. You
yeah.
always were super willing. You would go in, and you were really with it. You know, it's really sweet to hear you talk about your relationship with like your grandkids,
Yeah,
and you know, to think about Grandpa Kimani,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Think about how
yeah.
you're
They
like
putting them on
interacting
me.
with your yeah. You know, I hear so much inspiration in your story, and I feel and I hear your desire to help other kids who are like how you were, or are on the path to maybe a life of, you know, incarceration. Talk about that. Like, talk about like what you're doing now. Like, I really want to know like what you're doing, how you're doing it, the people you're working with, and also like this desire to work with kids and work with the youth.
So for me, I'm still a part of the United Players, right? And what we do, I started being a part of the United Players when I was inside of St. Quentin. Um, I was a part of the kids, you know, the program that used to bring the kids in, and this was the organization that used to bring the kids in. Um, so I'm a part of that. I still do the work out here, right? We have a little a center in San Francisco, Kids still come over there, work out, you know, watch TV. We talk to them. You know, we spend time with them. You know, you know, we go out when we can. We doing a lot of advocating for individuals to turn in their guns. So I was just with the San Francisco Police Department the other day. My parole officer like, man, I don't know. I'm like, look, man, I got to do this. You want me to do some volunteer stuff? So it was just people coming, bringing guns in, and, you know, San Francisco Police Department was paying, you know, the individuals for bringing the guns in, you know, so that's the type of work I've been doing out here with the kids. I'm currently I'm creating a curriculum, a youth entrepreneur curriculum. There's this program called Youth Development Program in Oakland, California on International Street. So I'm trying to get permission to go in and teach, you know, our kids entrepreneurship, right? Teach them how to write a business plan, get them some mentors from the Small Business Association, and et cetera, et cetera. So that's what I'm currently doing with that as well. So it's working out, but it's a lot of red tape I'm learning. And then COVID don't make it no easier of getting inside of them doors. But I'm gonna keep it pushing. I'm not gonna stop. And whenever the door open, I'm gonna be right in there to be 100% present for them kids. And after the class, I will be present for them as well. I believe it's very important for me to give back in whatever community I can. But I need to start with this next generation, right? Because this next generation, life gonna be hard. And I'm not talking about the ones that's in the ghetto neither, right? Because with this technology, people connect with people all over the world. So a little girl, black girl in the ghetto may be friend with a little white girl in the suburbs, right? And best friends, you know, and they'll run the way together and do everything else together, you know, to show that they loyalty, you know, that they loyal to their friendship. So I just want to be a liaison, you know, when it comes to that point where they have somewhere to go and, you know, receive the proper help that they need. I'm also the company I work with. We house kids 18, 19, 20 years old, right? That's out, you know, doing drugs, you know, that got out the foster system and just was thrown out there with nowhere. So you left from no choice but to, you know, sell a body, become a drug dealer, end up homeless, going back and forth to the county jail. You left from no choice, right? Because after the foster care system, they ain't got nobody. So I spend a lot of time with them, talking to them and trying to make phone calls and see how could I assist them? How can I get them up out of the environments that they living in, that I work in, right? To help them out, to put them on a better path than where they at, you know. Sometimes the addiction and trauma is too deep, right? It's too deep for me, you know. Sometimes I can't understand it, but I stay calm and I just listen to them. And most time I found out just to be an ear for them makes a difference. But I learned from you all that consistency, because the very moment that I don't say good morning or how you doing is the very moment they gonna think you're not real. You're just like the rest of them. You're not consistent. So I make sure I'm consistent with them, because consistency is key. I learned through you all. So that's what I'm doing, right? I'm working with No More Tears out here still. You know, just stopping the violence. You know,
describe that organization. What is that about?
so No More Tears is an organization that was created by one of the brothers in St. Quentin. And they non-profited. A few individuals got out non-profited. And what we do, basically, we just in whatever community in, we preach stop the violence. You know, we talk to this side of this gang that don't get along with this gang. We talk to both of the gangs and say, hey man, y'all ain't gotta do this. You know, when you do this, mothers cry, kids grow up without fathers or mothers. You know, we have to stop that, you know, and take it from us. We know we did this type of thing. This is why we spent 20 some years in prison, because we felt like y'all, we looked like y'all, and we did everything that y'all doing now. But we letting y'all know there's a consequence to this action that you really not want to pay. You really don't want to pay that, right? So we just get out there in the community and do footwork when we can, you know. So that's what that's about. Just no more tears. Just stopping mothers from crying, stopping fathers from crying, you know, stopping children from dying, you know. So I've been doing volunteer work with them as well. So yeah. So I'm working on that. Got 2 groups that I run for the company I work for. It's called the Gratitude Group. And what we do, we basically get in a circle, you know, do the 360, you know, degree circle, and we just go at it. You know, what's the main thing causing you to stress since you've been out of prison? Let's talk about that. What it looked like, right? Because if I learned, if we didn't do that, we work for a company that provide us everything we need, but we got to be willing to help ourselves. And a lot of people don't want to do the maintenance work on change, right? They did all the change to get out. Now that they out, they stop doing it. And when they stop doing it, relapse occur. Relapse in your behavior, relapse in your substance use, relapse occur, right? So I figured, okay, I'm not the one to complain, but I see a lot of this going on. How could I assist my brothers and sisters? Because I never want nobody to go back to prison. I never want that. So I created a group called the Gratitude Group. We go in there and we just show one another gratitude. Let people know, hey man, your presence is needed out here. I thank you for that. You know, please stay out here with me. Please continue to do this work with me, because my change, it be maintained and sustained by your change. You know, it's a wraparound like this circle. We all need one another, you know, because the world really don't understand us like that. How could you understand me after 23 years of in prison? You can't understand me. You can't even figure out what I went through. I can tell you certain things, but it's certain things I forgot that I don't want to talk about, you know. And so for me to be around other people who understand me, it's an opportunity for me to make sure that, you know, they stay out here, you know, and they continue to love and take care of their family, and, you know, work and stay clean and sober if that's possible, you know. So that's one of the things I'm doing. And on Fridays, I do a big book study like I was doing inside of St. Quentin. I brought it out here. And, you know, that's for alcoholics and addicts. And we get together and we talk about, you know, our sobriety. We talk about, you know, what would cause us to relapse. You know, we go in that thing. You know, we talk about our sub personalities, you know, what they are, when they popping up, how they done popped up, how we dealt with it, you know. And then we able to leave an hour and a half later feeling rejuvenated, ready for the next day or the next week, you know. And I'm doing it volunteer, you know. I don't, but I learned that it's all right from you, from James, from other brothers and sisters, that, hey man, hey, this stuff is volunteer, man. I don't really get paid for this. You know, I can be doing this, you know, but I choose to come in here and show my consistency and love, you know, as I'm thriving to, you know, live out my change. So that's what I'm doing. I'm working on starting my entertainment company. I started a apparel clothing line called I'm Appealing, you know. So I'm moving forward. I got my own loft, you know. I got out the transitional spot, got my own loft, my 85-inch television. You know, so I mean, it's that comes by way of just living my change, you know, and taking what I learned in there, utilizing all my inspiration that I got from in there and utilizing it out here, just transferring it. That's all, just applying it, you know. And it takes time. It comes with its disappointment as well. But hey, consistency is key, you know. So in about a year or two, hopefully, um, hopefully I have something really established. The prisons will be open and I can go back in there and do some work in there as well, you know, because I
What would
know
you
it's
like to
neat.
do? What would you like to
Uh,
do? What would you like to go back inside and do?
so I told James I would like to go inside of the youth authorities, you know, work with the
Mm.
kids. So I'm trying to talk to the investigator who put the packet together for me when I went to the board that got my freedom. He used to be a warden. He many years he worked for CDCR. So I'm waiting on him to call me back. But at some point in time, I want him to connect with James and see how could, you know, we get into youth authority and help the kids. Because they still have a chance. They ain't been to prison yet, you know, but that's a pivotal time to get in there and get them and say, hey, this is the time you hit that, you go another corner. Don't go down this street, hit another corner, right? Because if you go down this street, this is what's gonna happen, right? So for me, that's what I would like to do for the prison yoga project. I can see myself doing that, right? Prison, I just want to go in, hey, this is what's going on. This is what's, you know, because it's so much trauma there.
Yes.
I don't know, to hit them gates behind me, it may do something to me. I don't know. You know, it's just something I'm perceiving again. I hit a gate, I'm liable to start sweating and say, hey, man, I can't do this. Let me out. And I shouldn't think like that because there's nothing I have to hide. I done paid my debt to society, right? I did it diligently. You know, I do not want to pay no other debt like that to society. So I'm not going down that route, you know, but just that trauma, you know, or possibly seeing some people who I was close with still there, you know, that would do something to me. You know, I will feel like I'm not doing all that I can do to bring other people home, um, like me, because there's some good brothers inside of there. There's some good sisters inside of them prisons too, you know, and I feel like, hey, for me to be out, they depended on me to show the world like change is possible. Not everybody in prison get out and go back. Not everybody in prison just get out and don't do the work. There's people that get out and continue doing that work, you know, do it for free, you know, do it 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, and do it with ease, you know. So that's what I would like to do.
I love it. I love it. Um, wow, it doesn't even really seem like you have any free time because you're running this group, you're running that group, you're working, you got the grandkids, you're putting together, you know, your businesses, putting together proposals for future things. Yeah, but what do you do? I mean, what brings you joy? What are you doing to take care of yourself when you do have some free time? What do you like to do with it?
So my only free time consists of working out, yoga, meditating, going to the lakes and just sitting there looking at the birds, you know, just looking at freedom, right?
Yeah.
That's it. That's all. And seeing people that I love, but that's basically it, right? I don't. That's what brings me joy. Something simple and making sure I'm in the house before the street lights come on. I'm good with that. I'm good with that. You know, I'm good with that. You know, I'm happy just like that, right? I don't, you know, and I'm making progress. So every chance I get, you know, I'm really just trying to, how could I make tomorrow better than I did yesterday? That's all.
Mm,
And that brings me joy, you know, just to be able to have that type of respect and trust amongst my fellow human being. That brings me joy, right? That's what, you know, going into a grocery market, seeing a little kid looking at my Mickey Mouse mask and me waving to them and they laughing, that brings me joy. You know, I'm cool with that. You know, I don't need the other stuff. I'm cool with the
right.
other stuff. You know, 6 o'clock at night, I better be in the house before the street lights come on. And I'm cool. Got a few
Right.
hours, probably watch a movie or something, and I go to bed and I'm up at 4:30 in the morning going to work, you know, going to
Wow.
work. That's it.
Wow. Wow. Describe your yoga practice. What does your yoga practice look like?
The same. I mean, kicking it off with the breathing and meditation, getting into the cat and cow pose, and going from there,
Mm-hmm.
and just going from there, putting it all together. The warrior poses 1, 2, and 3. You know, sometimes I try to do the dragon. You know, that ain't worked out. It don't. You know, just and but I really need to start writing my practices down, because I know eventually if I'm gonna, you know, teach it, I need to know exactly what I'm doing and what is it doing, you know, because I'm still on taking the practice for myself and making it connect with me. But when I get to trying to teach other people, I got to make sure I'm teaching it from a standpoint where it connects with them, you know.
Right.
So that's what it consists of, 5 days a week, you know. So I do yoga every time I work out, and James used to have a problem with me doing yoga then working out. So now I work out with the weights and all that, then I do yoga, and it's very helpful, right?
Yeah.
Very helpful. I'm able to calm down, you know, because a lot of legs, I do a lot of legs. Like at the marina, I go do legs around, you know, the whole marina, and that can cause me to be a little aggressive, you know. And sometimes when I talk out here, people be like, you know, like, hey, like, you know, because I just have that, you know, it's not, I don't want to say aggressive. It's just I shoot things and I shoot it like this is what it is. And people not used to that. Everybody's so used out here, candy cold, and I ain't got no time for that. I done 23 years of my life. I'm not wasting no moment, right, to connect with no human being on any level, right? So, but I try to legs, when I do my legs day, I really have to do me some yoga and meditating more than anything to calm down, because that testosterone is kicking, you know, and that's when my brain, I find out, get to really going, really going. So I calm it down by doing that meditation, right, and do a quick 15-20 minute yoga practice, and I'll be cool. Shower, bath, yeah, bath, and be good, right? And be good, you know. So that's what that looked like. I also try to like help my girl. You know, we done did some yoga practices together, some breathing meditation at the Lake Marina, the marina out here in San Leandro. I done had a few more of the sisters I call my sisters, you know, did a lot of time in prison because I seem to be around that population a lot, you know. You know, I try to help them meditate, you know, breathe. You know, a few of them done got the coronavirus, tested positive, you know, and I told them just breathe, intentionally breathe, because it's a respiratory disease. So you want to make sure you intentionally breathe, right? Keep the heart moving, right? And you'll be all right. And a lot of them is breathing with purpose. That's why I say breathe with purpose. You know, stop, breathe. Just, I know your nose seems stopped up, but breathe it out, you know. And it's been working, you know. So that's what it looked like for me. Yeah.
That is so cool. So I think there's a few questions out
All
in
right.
our audience. So
Okay.
maybe Bill, would you like to come back into the room with Kimani and I?
Yeah.
And
Well, first of all, I just want to say what a privilege it is again to just get to be a witness to all of this. It is absolutely beautiful. I love to hear, I love to hear that. I think it's a natural, you know, when people practice yoga, you know, comes a point when it flips, and we want to step into that role of teaching. And I'd love to see you doing that someday. And,
Yeah.
you know, we can help facilitate that, I think. So yeah, we had a couple of questions, and very early, Grace asked what advice that you would give to somebody who's incarcerated and who feels like they don't have a second hope for a second chance at life. What advice would you give for that person?
So the advice that I would give for that person is, first off, don't have hope for a second chance of getting out. Have hope for yourself, right? Make the hope be about you, right? Find your purpose, whether it's in there or out there, find your purpose. And the creator, you know, whatever you believe in will do the rest. But find your hope in yourself, you know, be hopeful in you, basically. Be hopeful in yourself, right? It's very important, right? Because when you lose hope inside of them jail cells, you become useless. The first person you become useless to is yourself, right? So everything that you're gonna do to self-destruct, self-sabotage, right? So find hope in yourself. Whether it's you like to read, find what you're good at. If it's reading, if it's talking, if it's playing basketball, find yourself, right? Find yourself. And that's where the hope gonna lie. Because once you find what you good at, what's your talent, right? Whatever the creator gave you, exploit that to the maximum of exploitation within yourself.
Yeah.
And that's where
Yeah.
your hope gonna come from, right?
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Wonderful.
We also have another, we have somebody who's raised their hand, and I am going to see if I can, there we go. I'm going to allow Tracy to talk. Tracy, you can unmute yourself now if you would like.
Hi, I didn't have a question. I'm sorry, I must have just pushed a button. But
Yeah, because we say the meatless mama.
that's me.
How you doing, Tracy?
I'm good. I mean, I've been in tears pretty much this whole conversation. I just want to thank you so much for sharing everything. And like Bill said, it was just an honor to witness this conversation and your journey. And I'm just very grateful to you and to Chanda for being here. So I'm sorry I didn't mean to push a button. But I'm happy to say hi to you. Thank you so much.
No
Hey,
problem.
Tracy.
Hi.
I see some picture popping up. I continue to see Bill. Then I saw your picture. But I thank you as well for being present, and I thank you for allowing your heart to open up wide to the point where you was able to shed some tears. Whatever I said, I hope the tears wasn't bad tears, and
Never.
they was
No.
just tears of joy.
Yes.
So I thank you, and whatever question that you may have for me, like I said, I'm here. I'm an open book, you know.
Thank you. I see that. I feel that. Thank you so much. My daughter was listening too, and our dog. We've all been with you this morning.
Hey, daughter, doggy dog. Hi.
Yeah. Oh, hi. She's the meatless Maya, and I'm the meatless mama.
Okay.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Tracy.
you.
We have Sonia, who is I think it's 5:30 approximately in the morning for you now, and you can unmute as well.
Thanks, guys. Firstly, I just wanted to thank you so much for sharing so much from your heart. Like what Tracy was saying there, I was in tears for most of it, but I think some of it actually just reminded me of my own, especially when you spoke, Kimini, about perceptions and how that impacts how you relate to other people in terms of pushing people away because you have this perception based on your experiences, you know, and that's for me a personal thing, but I also see it with the ladies that I practice with here in Brisbane, Australia, with the prisoners here, and I see it really very much so there. And the other thing that I think resonated as well was that intergenerational trauma that you talk about, because the population of individuals here that are overrepresented in Australia are Indigenous. And they have exactly the same, you know, when you talked about how, you know, there's certain things in your culture that you just don't talk about, that stay inside your four walls. It's exactly the same here with our population of Indigenous people, you know, and they are so trapped, and the cycle continues, and it's really saddening. But we have some awesome organisations here that come into the prisons and work with our Indigenous people. There's an organisation called Strong Women Talking, and they're amazing, and that they sit in circle and they talk about things that were never spoken about. And I hope, I think it does a lot of good work I think they do a lot of good work for them, but also bearing in mind too that, like you were saying, you didn't know how to have relationships with certain people because of what you had experienced in your youth, you know. And I think I see that in the people that I practice with, that they're very reluctant to go there and trust, and the ones that do, you know, they start, in the next class that they come to, they start interacting a little bit more and sharing a bit more, and you see that consistency that you talk about. Like me showing up every week, I think it's just me doing what I'm very passionate about. But for them, it's a different experience again. You know, for them, it's like, hey, miss, you're here again today. Are you coming next week? You know, oh, hey, it's Christmas. Are you coming next week? And I'm like, no, I can't come next week. It's a Christmas. Because we're lucky that we're able to still go into prisons here. We haven't had any COVID in our prison system here. So, but it's that, yeah, they rely on you turning up, and the importance of that.
Yeah.
And I just can't thank you enough for sharing. It just, yeah, beyond mind blowing and really heartfelt. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the work that you're doing. That's very important. And I just want to say that to you and all the other volunteers that come in and out them prisons year after year. I know it's not an easy process, but you know, just own on to your autonomy, that you're impacting some people's lives like you never even know that you impacting their lives. Everybody you may not be able to get, but the ones that you do get, you're gonna have them for the rest of your life, and they're gonna make sure they continue the work that you're doing whenever they get an opportunity to do it. So thank you for that. And like I said, the consistency is very important. Very important. And I think, well, I know this is how you done was able to, you know, gather their trust, because people that go through the type of trauma that one go through, that come from impoverished environments. I don't even like to say impoverished environments, just environments that's not conducive with positive energy. Let me put it like that. The trauma can be so indebted that sometimes you forget that you're a human being, and when you forget that you're a human being, you can't, it's kind of like impossible to see other people as loving human beings, if that makes sense, you know. So just the consistency of you constantly going in there working with the Indigenous brothers and sisters up in there, I thank you for that. And you know, don't be afraid to train somebody else. What they call that, when one person he trained another person to become, you know, to take the leadership role, your protege. Don't be afraid to seek out a protege.
No,
You know,
it's actually very funny you should say that, because I had there's been a few people interested here in doing this work, and there's a young girl who's a psychologist, and she works with youth who are at risk, and she said to me, I really want to do this work. So I took her in for half a day on Thursday, and I said to her, look, just process what you've experienced today and have a think overnight, and within 10 minutes of leaving, she's like, no, I'm in. This is for me, you know. And I thought, yep, she is the right person. Her presence
Yeah,
there was really felt by the women, and I thought, yeah,
that's
you're on the
beautiful.
right path. And it, you know, it gives me an opportunity to
That's beautiful.
yeah, to seek out other places that we can
That's
implement the
beautiful.
program here. So thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
I there's just no end to the wisdom, I think, here. And you know, it struck me, you know, as you were talking about the consistency, you know, and I made a connection with, you know, your advice that you give, you know, to say that, you know, find whatever it is in yourself and dedicate yourself to your purpose. And it really sounds like, you know, and I think I've heard this several times in what you're saying, is that, you know, at the end, you know, in that deep down inside, you found a way to be able to commit to yourself in a way that you're, no matter what it is that comes up now, there's a resiliency in there that keeps you on your, oh, what is it you say, on your square, on your box?
On my square, in my square, and on my box.
Yeah, and this, man, is you know, just such a beautiful thing. And you know, and this is what allows, I think, for folks like you to go out there, you know, and be the one to carry it forward, you know, you know, carry it forward. And I remember the back of your sweatshirt there, it says it takes the hood to heal the hood.
Yeah,
To heal the hood.
yeah, it
Yeah.
takes the hood to say the hood.
There you go. You
Yeah,
know,
it takes all of us.
yeah, and this is the thing. I mean, if it isn't obvious, then you got your eyes closed, that we need, you know, to transform this society. And you are a living embodiment of that transformation. And I think, you know, just this you demonstrate. I have no doubt in my mind that any young man who encountered you would see that different path. You know, it
Yeah,
then becomes a possibility for them.
yeah,
And I know you would be there, you know, consistently to have their back. And I think it's just beautiful every time.
yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I believe, you know, a lot of people, what I learned in society since I've been out, a lot of people believe like if you throw money at it,
Yeah.
it fix everything,
Uh-huh.
right? It fix everything. I mean, if and I don't want to get off topic, but if you get into the corona thing, they just threw money in it, boom, right? But what about the other aspect that this pandemic is bringing about? Our children not going to school, you know, all these normalcy that we had just been stricken away from us, and now we seeing that money can't fix this. But what I learned, right? What I learned is that a simple "how you doing? I'm here for you," right? Bring about so much healing
Mm-hmm.
when a person feel like I'm not alone,
Yeah.
right? And every time I was motivated to go inside of them yoga room, inside of prison, I knew I wasn't gonna be alone, right? It was gonna be some people I was familiar with and some people who was new, right? But just the knowing that I wasn't alone in this gave me that type of hope and strength that I needed to continue to move forward. And I believe that us as a world, right, need to get back to the simplicity of life, right, which is loving and showing concern about one another. Because at the end of the day, we all breathing the same air and we got the same blood up under us. And what makes me cry gonna make you cry too. What makes me smile make you smile too. It's just that simple. Money, okay, that's cool. You know, it's a tool, but it's not everything. It don't fix everything, right? Human kindness, a simple, consistent, how you doing? Or here go $1, you know, but in the process of that dollar, could I talk to you? What's your name? What's your story? What happened? Right? You'd be surprised what it do. Yeah. And I see it when people see me, when I go to, they light up because they know I'm curious. I have a curious mind. I never knew I had a curious mind. I never knew I was a nosy little boy. And most of my butt whoopings came behind me asking questions because I was always curious, right? So now I utilize that as a way of getting to know my fellow human being, right? On that human level, right? It's not about money. It's not about what I can do for you, what you can do for me, you know, what I'm trying to get for you. It's not about that. It's just about how you doing today. You know, one person, I asked him yesterday, you know, how you doing today? He said, do you really want to know? I said, yes, sir. Hey, let me park the car and I'm gonna get out and let's chop it up. I ain't got nowhere to go. My parole officer ain't calling me, so let's holler. You know, and we talked about 15 minutes and he was like, man, thank you. Now I can go home to my wife and kids and have a peaceful day.
Yeah.
It was just that simple.
Yeah.
You know, so just being consistent in that, you know. Yeah, and I wear this sweatshirt because they say it takes a village to raise a kid. We just put it in the form, it takes the hood to save the hood. Whatever hood you in suburbs or ghetto, it takes all of us to get out there and say, hey, man, we dealing with some stuff that's bigger than you and I. And the only way we can combat that if you and I come together and show love and kindness and respect to one another. That's how we move life forward out here.
Yeah.
Real simple. You know, real simple. You know.
Well, Kimani, here I am, man. I just want to thank you as always.
Yeah.
And
got a lot of books back there, man.
Yeah, it's just props, you know, it makes it look like I'm real serious, you know.
Yeah.
But
thank you too, bro.
We all got a lot of work to do and we're going to do it together. And
yes.
You know, that's one of the things about the Prison Yoga Project, that we do this together. We are a community, we are a sangha that involves a lot of people inside and out, and we're doing this together. We're doing this work together. So I just want to thank you, brother.
Right.
And I want to thank Chanda as well. Dear Sister Chanda, namaste to you.
Namaste.
And Kimani, just to throw it out there, I did not realize that you wanted to maybe like teach yoga to youth on the inside, and I am freaking out over here. I texted Bill. I was like, what? I'm like so excited. So I just wanted to let you know, like, like talk about working together. Wow. I just, wow. And again, thank you and Chanda. And just like, I see you both and I feel you both. And I can never fully grasp or understand what you are going through as the people you are and like what identities you hold, but I recognize it. And I just thank you, because I don't think what you guys just did was easy. And you're being asked to speak about things that are bigger than just you. And so I just want you to know we recognize that what you've been asked to hold, and you did it with such beauty and such grace, and you do it because you want to. I know that. But I just wanted to say, like, we see you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Nicole. Yeah. Thank you for all your work too, and continue that work. I mean, we can't do it without you. It's all of us. Takes all of us. And yeah, I look forward to teaching the youth inside of the prison. Inside the youth party. I ain't got the courage for the prison yet. I don't know about that.
Youth are. It's a different type of courage.
Yeah. But well, I think with
Go
them,
ahead.
it's just about, you know, it's about more of a, I understand where you at, right? And once you make once you make that correlation with them, and they understand that they not alone. See, because most youth just, they believe that they're alone. I know for many years I thought I was the only person was going through what I was going through, so I kept silent, right? I had no voice. I never wanted to say anything what I was going through. But it was when I started participating in healing that I learned that I wasn't alone. And it's crazy how trauma will trap you like that and make you believe you the only one in this big world is going through that. And that's what the youth is believing. I'm alone, right? My friend, my friend who I'm loyal to, she or he know what I'm going through because they going through the same thing. So this is why we so close. But they not knowing this, people that came before you went through what you going through, right? But they need to know that. And that comes with, like I said, consistency seemed to be my word today. You know, that come with going in there and showing them, man, hey, man, I know. And today, this is what I went through today. You know, just being transparent with them about the type of things that, you know, you experiencing at that moment, right? Will open up the gateway for them to tell you what they're experiencing, you know, on a daily basis. Cause that's what it's about, you know, getting them to not be concerned too much about the past and not allowing them to be too concerned about the future. But let's just be here for right now. Let's enjoy this moment right now, because we don't know what the next moment may behold. So let's just put all of our, you know, 100% of ourselves into this moment. And I believe that that will serve them when they get out into the world. That will serve them, you know, better that way.
You are such a fantastic teacher.
I'm trying to be. I learned from other teachers.
No, you just natural, man. It is.
Yeah.
I sense this moment. You know, I saw something that we don't know when we're making history, and I don't know. I feel like, you know, we do have an opportunity to change the world, you know, in a significant way. And you know, that this is the moment. And then it's people like you, it's people like Chanda, James, Nicole, all the other people that make Prison Yoga Project happen. And you know, I'm so happy to be able to, you know, that we can give you a spotlight to share your wisdom and your teachings with, and then to think about the impact that you could have. You know, like you say, you're not going to reach everybody, but man, there are going to be youth out there, regardless of whatever, you know, situation it is, whether it's in the youth facilities doing yoga, or like you say, just walking down the street and sharing a simple kindness that is going to change the direction of some people's lives. And the cumulative effect of that is that we transform society. And that is, you know, just the potential here is really so very tremendous. We should bring it to a close. We're a little bit over time.
Okay.
You know, man, we should do this again, though, and again, and like there's
Whenever,
like
man.
a reality TV show to follow the continued evolution of the transformation of society,
Yeah.
starring Kimini Randall. And we'll catch up again. Maybe we'll check
Yeah.
back in months or so. But I wanted to give you just any last words that you would like to leave us with as we sign off this morning.
My word today been consistent. So whatever you do, stay consistent at it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just stay consistent at it, you know, and know that there's someone somewhere. When you down and out, just know there's someone somewhere going through worser, right? But continuing to stay on day square
Mm-hmm.
and make a difference, right? So just be consistent. and know that you're not alone in this world, right? There's other people here going through what you're going through, went through what you're going through, right? Came out of it, and they are willing to help you. So stay consistent.
This is the meaning when we say namaste. That is, I think, man, that is what we are talking about.
Yes. So that was it. Namaste.
Well, I just want to close by saying to Kimani that the world is a better place because you're in it.
Thank you. Thank you.
So thank you for sharing your presence and your light and your truth. I've been deeply touched by my relationship with you. I have been also healed by this work and this relationship and this process. And it's beautiful to witness. It's beautiful to be a part of. So I just want to thank you for that.
And I want to thank you for all of your work. I want to thank you for being a part of my process of healing. You've been a blessing in my life, and I thank God for you, right? And everything that you stand for and everything that you do. I honor that, right? And whatever help you need from me, I'm here for you 100%. Namaste.
Namaste.
All right.